Hey guys, Andy here, and I know it's been a bit since I last posted. Been going through some difficult things in my life, but I'm okay, or at least I will be. I've been thinking lately, and first off, let me say that I'm not saying what I think is what everyone else should think, or that it's the right thing. It's just what I've come to believe, and that is that we are born to learn to live, and we learn to live so we know how to die. Now, I know that seems a little bit morbid, but hear me out. What it comes down to is the butterfly effect. I don't know if you are familiar with it. For those of you who aren't, it's basically cause and effect. One small action of an individual can affect hundreds of thousands of people. For instance, say I accidentally drop a coin, alright? Small thing. It rolls down to the ground and down a sewer drain. But it could be that one more piece of debris necessary to block off the any storm waters that accumulate there in the drain, right? So the next rainstorm that comes through causes a major flood, and several houses become destroyed as a result of one little penny, you know? So, what I wanted to talk about is how we should always be mindful of our decisions. Now, I know that we make thousands of decisions every day, and I'm not saying that we should keep track of every single one of them, because that's a monumental task for anyone. No, I'm saying try to keep the bigger picture in mind, you know? That's why I don't go out and commit felonies and stuff, or at least not mindfully so, if I can help it, you know. I'm not I'm not stealing cars and robbing old ladies, other persons, and stuff like that, you know, because there's more in my life that I need to do, you know. I've got a son to take care of. I'd like to have more children eventually. I'd like to have an actual family of my own, a place of my own, etc. You know, make my mark on the world and go on and teach others how to live. This has really nothing to do with religion, but it is very spiritual, I think, to learn how to live so you know how to die. I don't know if there is a heaven or hell, but, you know, I think if it does exist, it's up here mostly. I know that's pretty controversial for a Christian to say, but I've said it. You know, I think that our guilt is what holds us down and torments us. And, you know, guilt is a very powerful thing, a very, very powerful thing. You know, several people have lost their lives to it, taken their lives themselves. So, you know, it's pretty crazy. The power of our the smallest decisions that we make, you know, and even especially the larger ones, you know, when it comes to relationships, for instance, knowing what ones to break off, which ones to continue to nurture and stuff, you know, and really there's no way to know the outcome of any decision that we make. We can only hope for the best. Well, at least some of us do, anyways, I should say. Some of us just blindly make big decisions and don't really care who it affects. You know, we think, for instance, if we have a child and we don't feel ready for it, someone will take care of it. But that's not always the case, you know. If it wasn't, you know, there would be no meme about dumpster babies, for instance, you know. As despicable as that is, I have to bring it up. You know, and some people aren't fit to be parents, but they should still take some responsibility for that child to ensure that that child actually does have a decent chance at living, you know? Make sure that they get into a good foster home, or that they're at least taken care of in some way, you know? And a lot of parents think that once they become parents, their life ends, and that's not the case. No, your life just changes a little bit. You know, my son was a surprise. You know, he wasn't planned. He wasn't an accident, though. You know, my life has definitely changed quite a bit because of that. But, you know, I wouldn't say it's changed for the worse at all. No. I've become more responsible. I've become a stronger person. You know, it's made some things difficult, like, for instance, if I wanted to go to a party, I have to pull strings to get a sitter and stuff. And, you know, but here's the thing, I've never been one for partying, so, I guess that's not really a good example. But, you know, for those parents that do like to party and stuff, you have to find a sitter and make sure that you're home at a reasonable hour so that you can still care for your child. You know, money may be tight, but really, you're trading some bad habits for good habits. For instance, instead of spending money to buy cigarettes, for instance, you're using that money to buy baby formula or your kids some new sneakers or something. And while I'm on that subject, just briefly, if you have a little child, there is no point in spending over $50 for a pair of sneakers. And I know some of you guys are like, my child's only going to have the best there is and stuff. And you know what? That's fine. But you know what? You got to think long-term things. You got to have a long-term mentality with children. You know. And that's what I've noticed, that as a human being, we are all about instant gratification. And that is what has doomed us at so many points in our lives. You know, we've wanted to have that feel-good moment right then, right there. You know, instead of waiting it out and positioning ourselves to benefit from our actions longer. For instance, I've got about maybe $50 in my checking account right now. Now, what I want to do is, you know, buy a stomp box, alright? And that would eat up like a good chunk of my money. I want to buy some books. But you know what? I'm going to save that money. I'm going to save it, and I'm going to invest in it. Invest it into another goal of mine, and that is to go traveling again. And every time I go and travel, yeah, I may be there to visit a person, but it's always more than one reason why I travel. For me, traveling is a way to cleanse my soul, as it were. To gain a new perspective on life, see how things are different somewhere else and how they are the same still. People, for instance, people especially, are different wherever you go. I mean, on the whole, they're the same, but you find that there are little idiosyncrasies from place to place. You know, cultural differences. You know, when I was in California to visit someone that I used to know, the people that were there, they still made the same stupid, retarded decisions that we make here on the East Coast. But, you know, they were actually more friendly, more willing to help you out. And I don't know if that's, you know, part of like the whole culture of the West Coast, you know, with the hippies and stuff like that. You know, I don't know. I can only speculate because I'm not a true historian, you know. Maybe it's because they didn't have the heavy influence of the capital right there breathing down their necks. Who's to say? And I'm not saying that the government's to blame for any of this or anything like that. It's just my observation that people on the West Coast can be nicer, more willing to help people. They're more selfless. You know, here for instance, you know, someone gets hurt or whatever, they're on their own. You know, we'll peek through our curtains to see why there's police lights flashing, and then we'll close. Sorry, got cut off there. We'll close the curtains so that we can remain ignorant of the goings-ons in our own neighborhoods. You know, we hear someone screaming for help, we turn a blind eye so that we don't get involved. So we don't risk ourselves. We don't risk ourselves enough, you know. So, and really, no matter what we do or what we believe, we do leave a legacy for our children, as it were. You know, if we don't actually have children, then those that we've affected greatly, you know. If we want a better world, the change starts within us, and that change needs to become more selfless, to be more willing to help others. And if we think abdication is the best, then maybe it is, but we can't really say. Perhaps abdication is not the best thing. Maybe it is. Say it is, you know. Say leaving someone alone is the best solution. Why is it the best solution? Because you think that they need a challenge so that they can rise up and become a better person for it? Perhaps you've overestimated that person, their strength. You know, maybe they actually do need continual help. You know, for instance, addicts, alcoholics, they will always need someone to remind them why they are sober. They need that help. They need that push. You know, they need a raison d'être. You know. And to break off something so major in your life, to abdicate something so important in your life for something that you think might be important, that is a very risky move. Because say it doesn't work out, you've lost so many good things in your life just then and there. And that person that you've left alone, left behind, they're left wondering what they did wrong. They seek some kind of closure because someone was so, well, I wouldn't go so far as to say uncaring, but they didn't want to take the time to make sure that that person was really okay with with how they affected them. You know, because we don't want to include everyone or anyone in a lot of our decision making, even if it affects that particular person or set of people, because you know we just want it to go away. We don't want that stress, but you know that's all about, and that's the thing about being an adult, is handling your stress. You know, you handle your stress well enough, you become even stronger, and you leave a more positive impact on the world that you may be leaving behind. You know, we could go at any second. You know, I could have a brain aneurysm and I'm gone. You know, I need to think about what my life has meant for everyone else. And I know it seems like a really heavy responsibility to put on everyone's shoulders, but it's not. You know, it really is as simple as, would it really make you feel better? Be honest with yourself. Would not doing your homework make you feel better than doing your homework? Would splurging all of your money for instant gratification really make you feel better in the long run. It's not hard. Sometimes the decisions that we do have to make are in fact very difficult. Someone wants us to join the army, or else, you know, that kind of decision is very difficult, especially if you have children, because you have to actually sign away your rights to that child before you enlist. You know, there are several benefits to joining the military, but you got to think about it from the child standpoint too. But yeah, I mean, don't stress yourself so much about the big impact, but do keep in mind, somewhat at least, of the bigger picture. Andy out.